Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports. When
It comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
TexAgs Live.
I feel like I should be listening to the theme song from the Jeffersons. You know, we're moving on up.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
It's been special. The 12th man this past week was unbelievable.
And this is a real program. It's not fake. This is a real place. And if you want to be really good at football, this is a really good place to be.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
You know, we've missed a golden opportunity, Olin, to speak about Vegas, baby, the movie Swingers from, the mid-90s.
Good movie, yeah. That's
Great movie, yeah.
Jon Favreau.
Yeah. Chances that our staff that's younger than, they're one of the best movies, Nick Savage. If you're listening, if you haven't seen Swingers, you got to check it out. We are in Las Vegas in an intimate hotel room, as we've done many shows from hotel rooms. Had some technical difficulties this morning. I didn't get into town. I think my flight landed 12:30 Houston time or College Station time. So mentally, I'm still that time.
Right.
Didn't get to the hotel till about 1:15. Went to bed at 1:30. Tried to set up most of the studio last night. Most of it, not all of it. And here we are, talk about some football. I didn't get to talk to you on Monday because I took Monday off to celebrate Elizabeth's birthday. How was your Christmas?
It was good. Good. I got
traveling Christmas.
Yeah, but you know, we did all the Christmas festivities on Christmas Eve because I'd be traveling. And it was a good Christmas. Went out to dinner and had a nice dinner, saw people we knew out, and then came home and exchanged gifts. I did really well. You know, they say it's better to give than to receive.
Yes.
But I was pretty happy with what I received.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I've reached the, and we're going to talk some football here in a minute, but I've reached the point in life, and it came late for me. Okay, this is like in my 40s, not where like Christmas gifts or like that I'm requesting or to do chores. So power washer. I was like, you know, I could really use a power washer. I think our backyard isn't looking like I was never that guy, but I got one this year. Very happy about that. But Christmas itself was good. Got to hang out with my mom and dad, my brother and his family. And we did that on Christmas Eve. We call it Noche Buena. And then Christmas Day, woke up, opened some gifts with the kids and Elizabeth. And then we headed to the airport. And I took off from College Station, first time ever, from Easterwood.
Yeah, how was that?
It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was like, it's one of those, like I might be like, you guys enjoy driving to Houston. I'm going to go. Because there were people there, but it was easy. I got in. I sat down. It was just no stress. And then once I got to Dallas, stress everywhere.
Yeah, I had a pretty easy commute travel. You know, I drove to Austin, had a parking space reserved. The shuttle picked me up just like that, dropped me off right where I needed to be. I got through security in like 5 minutes.
Right.
Sit down and finish some work that I needed to do. Bunch of Aggies on my flight, probably on yours too.
Yeah, I did.
And got to the hotel. I got here in Vegas about 6:00 Vegas time, and I was in my hotel room by 6:30.
Yep.
The only problem I had is that there was even in Vegas, there was no place to eat. Or if there was like I went into a Subway and they had one person working and the line was almost to the door. And I said, you know, no, I'll just punt. I could stand to miss a meal.
Well, Obi, let's chit chat a little bit about what we got going on today, because today the Aggies are going to meet with the media, and I think that's 11:30 Vegas time. Is that right?
Well, I've been poring over this email that was sent out about it, and I still don't see a time or a site.
The one I have.
Oh, you don't. Oh, I
have a different one, which is from a little earlier. So 11 a.m. to 11:30, the kickoff media luncheon, and the coaches will speak at that time, plus one player or one offensive player, one defensive player. That's from 11 to 11:30 Vegas time, so 1 to 1:30 in Texas. And then we'll have the kickoff luncheon. So we'll get to hear from Coach Elko. But I know that they've already been doing some festivities. I saw Aggie Football posted a couple of videos of them here in Vegas. I guess they started their festivities on Monday.
Well, we're in the USC team hotel.
I did not know that until last night I was trying to talk to the folks that work here about, hey, can I do my show from the lobby? And they're like, well, you have to get because I've been reaching out and nobody had called me back. And so the lady at the front desk was like, yeah, that's like not going to happen. And she's like, especially with USC here. I was like, what, USC like fans? Like, no, the USC football team is here. In fact, when you try to click on the Wi-Fi, USC football is one of the options. Like, they got their own private Wi-Fi. No, I'm not going to break in and be a hacker and listen to watch their plays, because I fully expect a Mike Elko domination. And I know I've done that before and been right, and I've done that before and been totally wrong, but I'm feeling really good about our Aggies this week.
Well, we should. First of all, I think if everything was the same from the regular season, A&M just has a better team.
Yes.
And, we're looking at a USC team that's 6-6.
Found ways to lose games.
And, man, have they been hit by by opt-outs and transfer portal and whatnot. So,
key offensive players. If you know one thing about a Lincoln Riley team, they're going to have a really good offense typically and a so-so defense.
Yeah.
This year, the defense has been better than he's used to. He fired Alex Grinch last year. But offensively, they have had some miscues at the end of games. And then all their best players, gone.
Yeah. In fact, they're down to the third-string running back, kid from McKinney. I think his name's like Brian Johnson.
Which, by the way, doesn't really matter when you're Texas A&M.
It hasn't. They do have 4 of their offensive linemen playing. I think their right tackle started every game, went into the transfer portal. They do have an all-conference guard, and his name escapes me right now. But it hasn't been just a explosive offense. It has been at times. I think they scored 33 against Penn State. Maybe it's 30. Maybe they either lost 36-33 or 33-30. So they've had their moments, but overall, it hasn't really been an explosive offense.
Yeah, it has not been a typical Lincoln Riley style team. Look, let's kind of go through the obvious things here before we get into the deeper parts, because in the next segment, I do want to go through some of these players. But coaching-wise, if we're talking about offense, Lincoln Riley typically has a good offensive team. But we have seen the luster off of his name since he got to USC really go south. And we had talked about it when he was at Oklahoma. There were some questions about him then. He inherited kind of like the same kind of Ryan Day questions, but I'd say even more apparent for Lincoln Riley.
Yeah, I would say so, because he hasn't had the success, really. I mean, he did at Oklahoma, but again, he was just taking the keys from Bob Stoops.
Yep.
And they never got better. In fact, they were starting to decline. And then, USC, starting in the Pac-12, you're thinking, okay, they're going to be a juggernaut.
Right.
And they were good. Remember, they lost to Tulane and I guess it was the Sugar Bowl.
Yep.
They just haven't. They've been pretty, okay, not great. And in the Pac-12, you would think USC, especially if they can recruit, and they were, and if you tamper, they were.
Yep.
They should be significantly better, or at least a strong championship contender. But they really weren't.
Yeah.
He had the Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, and so they'd put up numbers on offense, and the defense, like you said, just wasn't very good. And he finally changed, I guess, because he was told to, defensive coordinator.
Yeah, he was forced to, and they've been better there. You can't be worse, because they've been terrible the last couple of years. But back to the obvious things. You've got, I think, Mike Elko game planning. I'm going to give the nod to A&M. Record in competition that they faced, give the nod to A&M. Players opting out. Look, A&M's got some players that have opted out. That's going to hurt that defense. But I think if you talk about who A&M lost from an opt-out standpoint and who USC lost from an opt-out standpoint, USC has been crippled more.
Hit harder. Now, all that said, let's understand that last year in the Texas Bowl, A&M was really hurt by the opt-outs. And, of course, they lost the game. But that was a football game.
That was a game, yeah.
Yeah.
And offensively, the offense wasn't an issue.
Right. And quite frankly, even though he played brilliantly, had Marcel Reed had much more experience, A&M might have pulled that one out.
Yep.
USC, the roles are kind of reversed, and USC's quarterback actually has more experience. I struggle with the Polynesian names. What's his name?
Mavia.
Is that how you say it?
I don't know. Just say it that way. If you say it fast and act like you know what you're talking about, Jaden Mavia.
Or something
Mayava. Mayava.
Threw for 3,000 yards plus at UNLV last year, so he's coming back to his old stomping ground.
Yeah.
I don't know if that'll help him.
I drove by the Thomas and Mack Center. It's a nice little area.
Is it?
Yeah.
You like? Yeah, I was walking around there.
Were you?
Well, I had to go. I was trying to find food, and I was walking in the general vicinity. It was interesting.
Yeah. Well, back to the quarterback spot. He came in and did a nice job for them, but he wasn't supposed to be 1A, right?
No.
Kind of like A&M went through with Connor, right? The expectation was for Connor to lead them through and be an SEC contender, and A&M was, but not because of Connor Wigman. It was because of Marcel Reed. And in a way, he did the exact same thing, but no, he didn't have it because they didn't have the success. Miller Moss started off really nice to start the season against LSU, but lost his footing. And then Mavia came in and did a nice job for them.
Yeah. What are they? They won 2 of the 3 games he started.
Yep.
Won a low scoring game against UCLA.
He cost them a game though
against
Notre Dame.
Couple
he had two pick sixes, in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, but I would say the fact that they scored 35 points, I think they lost 49-35. And he threw for 360 yards. He had a big game.
And Notre Dame's defense is pretty good.
So he kept them in the game. So he's a guy you got to absolutely have to respect his ability.
Yeah, but running game, and we'll go through some of these players to watch here in a moment, but A&M's Achilles heel this year, 2 things. Big plays.
Yes.
And at the end of the season, the last month of the season, couldn't stop the run.
Right.
And really the Texas game is the one that I think about. But even the South Carolina game, the Auburn game, those guys ran on A&M.
Oh, South Carolina absolutely did.
Yep.
200-yard rushers in that game, if my memory is correct. And Auburn ran efficiently. They didn't just, my memory, I tried to block it out, but my memory of that game is right. They didn't just overwhelm A&M with huge stats, but when they had to get yards, they ran for them. A certain scramble comes to mind. That one's still to this day. And then Texas was able to run whenever they wanted to.
They absolutely did. That Auburn game, by the way, Jarquez Hunter, I would say pretty damn good game and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, like I said, I guess what I remember most about that game
is the 23-yard scramble from Peyton Thorne.
Yeah, and
on fourth down, that was 4th down, right?
Yes, it was. Yeah, but I still think it was the passing that really. I keep seeing that 60-yard touchdown throw, or maybe it's 50 yards or whatever it was.
We have a mutual friend. I'm going to just call him B-Rad, who blames that loss on me. For talking about Peyton Thorne being the worst quarterback in college football, because he wasn't the worst quarterback in college football, but the performance he had at Kyle Field the year prior was one of the worst performances I had ever seen from a college quarterback, especially in the SEC.
All right, Peyton Thorne's not good, right? And A&M made him look really good, or helped him look really good. And to you were kind of making a joke earlier, but to your point, USC's down to their number 3 running back, and he has 120 yards all year. And almost all of them, or more than half of them, came on 4 carries in the last series against Notre Dame. But what do we always say about you find a team's weakness, and most teams exploit it, and somehow A&M, and I'm not even talking about this year, I'm talking about over the last several years, A&M somehow becomes the cure for whatever that team is having trouble with, whether it be South Carolina pass blocking or Peyton Thorne throwing or whatever. And so I'd like to think that they're going to go in there and make USC one-dimensional and see if Maeva, without three of his top receivers who opted out, if he can be successful. But can we go in just expecting A&M to shut down that run game?
Well, somewhere Billy Liucci is listening and going to give us the business for not saying Mavia's name right. I'm sorry, Billy. I've heard it. I've tried.
I struggle on Polynesian names, I have to admit it.
And not to bring up a sore subject, but the last time A&M faced a third or fourth string running back, they ran all over Texas A&M. That same running back duo of Jaden Blue and Quintrivion Wisner rushed for 260 yards and 4 touchdowns against Clemson. We didn't get to talk about that game. I don't want to spend a lot of time on that game. But I do want to talk playoffs with you in this hour, OB.
All right. Playoffs? Yeah. I was surprised that Tennessee was such a punching bag.
Herb stomped.
Yeah, they did.
They got embarrassed. They did. Hey, if you want to be a part of the conversation, we're 16 minutes in. They don't know what they think we're watching. Barbara Walters special. Is she still with us?
No, I don't think so.
I'm sorry, Barbara. This is not a Barbara Walters special. Christmas look back. No, this is TexAgs Live presented by. You don't have the boards to look at.
Yeah, no. Well, okay. It's just first of all, am I going to start
the big presentation?
The big presentation with David Gardner's Jewelers. Yeah.
In the makeshift Rollo Insurance
studio. Yeah.
This particular hour of the program
hour brought to you by CC
Creation, the warehouse. Yeah. And we're not typically right now. We're in this cool
zone travels.
Yeah, it travels. We're cool.
Travels. So this is
holistic planning cool zone.
Actually, this little room's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's nice. It's investments, estates, and if you want to invest in pro sports, it taxes as well. Investinprosports.com. As I mentioned, you want to be a part of the conversation? We may or may not read it or talk to you, but we're going to try. I promise that. 979-693-1150. That is the Boss Firearms hotline. You can call us up on that number. We will pick it up and listen to your call. You can also text us at that same number, 979-693-1150. Let's go around the room and go through the states, right? We're going to go all the way back to Texas, behind the glass, where we find Nick Savage. Nick, good morning, buddy.
Howdy, good morning, y'all.
How are you?
I'm great. I'm happy y'all made it there safely. I had a good Christmas. Hope y'all did as well. I'm kind of disappointed y'all didn't go set up shop with the fold-out table, right in front of the Vegas sign or on the Vegas Strip. I bet we'd get some pretty good interactions if we did something like that.
Well, everybody, there's a strike going on in our hotel. I didn't even know that
there's a strike.
Yeah, the workers of this particular hotel are on strike.
Really?
I found out last night.
So who's working?
Well, I guess some people
cross the line. Oh,
yeah, because
it's like the
when I went to get something to eat and was trying to come back, they were yelling at me and calling me bad names for crossing the picket line. I'm like, dude, I had no idea.
Are you serious?
Yes, I'm dead serious.
Well, I've heard
it probably would have been a good setting for do the show outside.
Well, Katie Smith needs to get some video interactions of us crossing that line. I've turned over a leaf. I don't have a temper anymore. I'm all about love. I watched the Aaron Rodgers special, Enigma. Have you watched that?
No.
Has anybody watched that, Nick? Have you?
I have not.
Okay. He is a strange cat, but there's something intriguing about it. It's weird. I don't know what I watched yesterday. It's kind of like, what's the name of that show, Survivor? I felt like I was watching Survivor with Aaron Rodgers, who was tripping on acid. That's what I felt like I was watching. If you watch episode 2, you'll know what I'm talking about. But how did I get there? I don't even know how I got here.
Well, somehow we started talking about,
crossing I'm all about love. He says he's all about love. I'm all about love too. Okay? So we can cross that picket line. People can yell and tell us mean names. And I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to say, hey, Merry Christmas.
Well, I was outnumbered about 20-1, so it was best for me just to keep walking and not saying
But I know your temper, and I know if somebody would have thrown a piece of toast at you, you would have some issues with it.
20-1?
Live to fight another day. Oh, but you had Irma with you, so watch out.
If I had Irma with
me. There we go.
I would be holding my hand over her mouth and come on, let's just go. Let's just go.
She's the tough one in the family, no doubt.
Without a doubt.
All right, let's hit a break here. When we come back on TexAgs Live, let's go through some matchups, shall we?
Let's do it.
All right, right now, prizepicks.com/TexAgs. Use the code TexAgs to receive $50 once you play in $5 lineups. Love some prize picks. It just makes the games fun, by the way, guys. And over the last few days, I don't know if you've been able to take advantage of it, but they had the Picksmith Awards. They had the Joe Kick free pick as well. Just so many different ways. What you want to do is pick 2 to 6 player stat projections. And once you get those $5 in there and get the $50 extra, you're going to watch the winnings roll, because I know that you can pick the games way better than we can. Obi can make some money. I can make some money. We can all make some money with Prize Picks. Again, that website is prizepicks.com/TexAgs. Use the code TexAgs. You're going to get $50 once you play in $5 lineups. It's Prize Picks.
What's up, TexAgs? This commercial break is brought to you by my good friends over at Aggieland Chevrolet, the official automotive sponsor of TexAgs.com and me, Billy Liucci. Greg Gunn is the proud owner of Aggieland Chevrolet and invites you to visit the dealership to experience true Aggie hospitality. From their friendly staff to the experienced service team, Aggieland Chevrolet is TexAgs approved. Check out the dealership off of Highway 6 in Bryan, or go to AggielandChevrolet.com and tell them Billy Liucci sent you by.
All right, we are back here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio of Las Vegas, the Virgin Records Hotel. When I walked in here, I was like, man, this place looks familiar because I've been here before.
Oh, have you?
In 2016, I believe this was the Hard Rock Casino.
Okay.
And the University of Houston played UNLV in the Vegas Bowl back then. I think it was UNLV. San Diego State, excuse me. It was San Diego State. And we stayed in this hotel, and I was like, man, this place looks, I did a little Google search. The Virgin Records Hotel is formerly the Hard Rock Hotel.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. I remember it being Hard Rock.
You been here before?
Not in this hotel, no.
No. Hey, Obi, you wrote a nice little piece on players to watch. Can we start off with the main man behind center?
That would be Marcel Reed.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's start off with him. Marcel, we all know the numbers pretty much, and what he's done. He was pretty effective when he started the season, or not the season, but when he became a starter.
Yep.
3 games in, wasn't putting up huge numbers, but they were winning. He was making plays. Then, of course, as we know, Connor took over as the starting quarterback. Then Marcel came back after that big second half against LSU. Since then, he's thrown for over 200 yards. And he threw for over 200 yards the next 3 games. He didn't against Texas, but he did in the next 3 games against South Carolina, New Mexico State, and Auburn. 297 was it against Auburn? So his productivity increased. His completion percentages increased. Unfortunately, the wins didn't, and so did his interceptions totals. Now, it's only been 1 a game, and you can usually live with that. The issue with Marcel's interceptions so often, they're just like the one against.
They're backbreakers.
Yeah.
They're backbreakers. The one in South Carolina was a backbreaker.
A backbreaker.
But you know what, though? Not making an excuse for him. I'm not. But I feel like his turnover started when Le'Veon got hurt. That's where,
they absolutely did.
Yeah.
Because Le'Veon got hurt earlier in the South Carolina game.
Because heading into that game, he had been pretty good protecting the ball.
Oh, absolutely. So, and again, 1 interception a game, you can typically live with that. One's typically not going to kill you. It just depends on when it is and where it is. But he is a good developing quarterback. I think anytime you have a chance to play as a quarterback, you get better. And so I think him playing in this game, is actually, a lot of people will say, hey, why even bother with a meaningless bowl game? But I think when you got a young developing quarterback, you want him to play as often as possible.
Yeah, you do. Let's hit one of the wide receivers, Noah Thomas.
Yeah, hopefully Marcel will be hitting him.
Yeah,
Noah, he's A&M's leader in I think all receiving categories: catches, receiving yards, even touchdowns. He's shown a big playability.
Yep.
I remember the touchdown catch he made against Arkansas, which actually is just about a 10 or 15 yard pass, and he turned it up and turned it to a touchdown. Wasn't a touchdown, but the big catch against LSU. I think he had 2 touchdown catches in a game against Auburn, and one of them was really long. So Noah Thomas has established himself beyond a shadow of doubt as A&M's number 1 receiver. I still don't think he's a quote number 1 receiver.
Right.
And I think, next year, and hopefully he continues to improve, I think next year he won't have to be, but if he's your number 2 receiver, then you're dangerous.
Yep. Well, I was going to say this, OB. I could see Noah having the same or better stats with a number 1, right?
I agree.
So, let's say one of the guys that they brought in the portal, okay? Maybe one of the guys they're about to bring in, if they are. So I think they're going to try to bring in at least one more, right? We know who they're talking to. Or if, whatever, one of these guys is the guy, okay? I could see him having actually more catches as a secondary threat, or even in some games, a third threat.
Oh, absolutely. I think not a lot of people would benefit more from, Micah Hudson or
Craver.
Mario Craver, or just more options than Noah Thomas, because quite frankly, coming into any game,
he's the one that they've been covering.
Yeah, I'm thinking, okay, all right, we'll take our chance with anybody else, but the guy that's their most productive guy is Noah Thomas. So we'll roll our coverage toward him more often than not. And if you have other options, it frees more things up for him, and then maybe he becomes even more of a big play threat. And you know what, he could. There's no reason to think that he can't continue to improve. Maybe next year A&M has 2 number ones, but as it is right now, I think he's the best. He's obviously the best receiver that A&M has. But I don't think he fits what a number one is on a team with elite receivers.
Not yet. And maybe he emerges this year, but so far that has not been the case. And some of it, the offense just has got to get better. Let's go to one defensive player, because I think his plate's going to be quite full this year to close out the season and probably next year. Cassius Howell.
Yeah, Cassius Howell. It's really important what he does in this game and then moving forward. Cassius Howell, what was he, the sack leader of the MAC, I think?
Yep.
Last year, and he came with a lot of expectations. And I mean, he's been okay in a backup role. I think he leads the team in quarterback quote pressures with 8, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's got 3 or 4 sacks. And he forced that fumble from Quinn Ewers.
Yep.
I don't doubt Cassius Howell as a pass rusher. I do think he just strikes me as a guy that looks like he needs to get stronger. Maybe that's unfair. Maybe I haven't seen enough of him. But what I do think is fair is to say, while he's a good pass rusher, he does have to get stronger against the run. And maybe I can understand if you've been playing in the MAC and you're seeing a different animal for the first time in the SEC. So I'll give him some grace there. He's shown he can rush the passer in the SEC, and maybe just getting his mind right is all it's going to take, understanding what he's against in the SEC. But he hasn't been a full-time starter either. So this game against USC may give us a glimpse of what to expect from this guy when he plays from start to finish.
All right, let's do 2 USC players. I want to start off because we've already kind of talked about running back and quarterback. Let's talk about the wide receiver, Mekhi Lemon, who I believe led them in all stats. He was pretty good.
I don't know if he had the most receptions, but he definitely
most yards, right?
Had 665 receiving yards. Now, about a third of that came in 2 games against Rutgers and Notre Dame. He had 4 catches for 134 yards and a 40-yard touchdown. And against Rutgers, against Notre Dame, 9 catches for 133 yards. So this guy can be dangerous. Averages 14.4 yards a catch, so he has some big playability. 10 catches of at least 20 yards. 3 of them of at least 40 yards. He had a 79-yard gain against Rutgers and a 64-yard catch against UCLA.
Hey, let's do one more, and I think Eric Gentry, the linebacker, is an interesting story because do you know the backstory about him this year?
Well, I know he's had concussion issues, right? He only played in the first 4 games, and probably not even the full game against Wisconsin.
Redshirted.
He had 30 tackles, 2 sacks, and a quarterback pressure in those 3.5 games. Or
led the team in tackles for losses too.
So losing him was a significant loss. Now, he's not a huge guy, 6'6".
Yeah.
He's built like Noah Thomas. He's 6'6", 215. At least that's what they list him at.
Yeah.
So obviously he's going to have speed coming off the edge. He's going to be a challenge probably for Trey Zune or Demetrius Crownover, because this guy's fast. And, he missed all those games because of concussion issues. Now he's cleared. I saw an interview with him. He's very excited about getting back on the field. And so that's a guy that you really have to be concerned with, because by all appearances, he makes the USC defense better.
Yep, no doubt. Let's hit a break here. When we come back, Coach Alan Weddell will join us on Zoom on the Boss Firearms Hotline. I think, OB, typically we talk about food this segment.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a great fireside chat with Coach Weddell at 1775, where we're probably talking more about the food than football, but the football will come up.
I think if you're breaking bread, or more appropriately slicing brisket at 1775, you can talk about anything because it just opens your mind, fills your stomach. Everybody's in a good mood.
finger food in a way. Like you can use your hands at 1775.
I like the pork ribs. You can't eat pork ribs with a fork and knife.
No. The macaroni and cheese.
I will use my fingers for that. That's
I've done it.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I've done 2 fingers in. Yeah. No doubt.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You just did a little sample.
You can't get enough of it. I think 1775 should sponsor their own bowl game.
Open Thursday.
1775 bowl.
That would be a good one.
It's a big bowl
of big bowl of 1775.
Big bowl of that queso mac and
when
cheese.
The players come through, they go, "Here you go, sir."
There and have it.
Open Thursday through Saturday, 11 a.m. until they're sold out. Online ordering turns off at 10 a.m. 8203 Raymond Saucer Parkway in College Station, 1775 TX BBQ. Spittingeverywhere.com.
Everyone, David Nuño here in a moment right now for Snaps Clothing. They are the makers of the only official licensed Texas A&M Pearl Snap shirts. I'm wearing it right now. This is part of their Tailgater collection. It's built for game day. My friend Edgar over there is doing great work. You've got to check out the clothing. It's the Pearl Snaps. It's the cool look. It's kind of hip, but also Western. You'll love it, and they have great stuff there. They'll keep you comfortable as you're repping your Aggie gear, and it's the place to go to get it. Whether you're watching the game from home or tailgating before watching the stands, these shirts have you covered. Head to snapsclothing.com. That is snapsclothing.com to gear up for the season.
All right, welcome back into TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio of our Las Vegas hotel room. People asking what hotel we're in, OB. Virgin Records Hotel. Is it Records or just Virgin Hotel?
I think it's Virgin Hotel.
Yeah.
But I think it's associated, obviously,
with Virgin Records. Yeah. It is the Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. I believe we should go to the Boss Firearms Hotline because that's next on the agenda, and that's where we find Coach Alan Weddell to join us, former A&M linebackers coach, defensive coordinator. He's done it all, high school football, you name it. Coach Weddell, good morning.
Good morning. How are things in Vegas, guys? Kind of early there, right? Or is it ever early in Vegas?
No, it's early.
It's early, yeah.
Okay. Or it's never late in Vegas. Maybe that's what you say.
Well, yeah. You know, one thing I read this or I heard this once before. I'm not a big Vegas guy. I like it. It's a nice, it's a nice town. That they purposely make your room, I don't want to say vanilla, but like so you're outside of your room. There's no refrigerator in here. There's no coffee maker in here. You got your beds. You got this nice little couch set up, and then they want you out playing slots or whatever you're going to play.
Well, that's why I came to Vegas. If I was in my room, it was just to shower or sleep, right?
Right.
But
those bright lights, you're not helping light those bright lights up sitting in your hotel room.
No. Hey, so Coach Weddell, the last time we spoke was right before the Texas game. Obviously, that was not A&M's finals performance, but now we're here. We're at the Las Vegas Bowl. Just your thoughts on the matchup against USC, and then not what is at stake for A&M, but what potentially this does it mean anything to you?
Well, bowl games used to be the crown jewel of the season. Everybody looked forward to them. You had teams that had played hard and matched up against teams of equal ability, and it was a great end to the season, a start to off season. But things have changed so much now with the emphasis on the playoffs, with the kids opting out and the portal and all those things. That bowl games are kind of, you never know how good a team you've got or who you're playing because you're looking at a different roster than it was on the day they assigned the bowl game. So it's really a mess. College football has really messed things up as far as the thrill of the bowl games and all that kind of stuff. But it's always good to play football, and I think it's probably a pretty good matchup on paper, and it'll give the Aggies a little momentum with a win to go into all season to kind of put that taste of Texas game out of our mouth. That was a disappointing loss, really.
Well, Coach, if I'm not mistaken, you're the one who's famous for saying, hey, play for that name on the front of your jersey and not on the back. Great inspirational, motivational speech. So my question to you is, if you were still coaching and you're in a bowl game like this, what could you say to do you think, how would you motivate your players to say, hey, yeah, we all know all the circumstances and situations surrounding bowl games now, but as a coach, how would you get your guys ready to play?
That's a challenge. And I think we've seen it in the past. I think last year, if you look at the Aggies game against Oklahoma State, I believe it was, they came out ready to play. They were excited. They had a new coach. They wanted to impress the coach. And they were ready to play and excited. A few years ago, I think we played Kansas State in Reliant or back there, and they stunk the place up. They didn't want to be there. So that's a challenge to the coaches. That's why they get paid the big bucks, I guess, because motivating 19, 20-year-olds whose friends are at home chasing their girlfriends while they're out hitting each other isn't always the best thing to do in the middle of December. But used to use bowl games as a teaching point for the young kids because you got 2 or 3 weeks in of good work, and a reward to the starters and those guys to get to play one more football. But again, you get down to this, it's a great game, and college football used to be an amateur sport, and you play amateur sports for the fun of it. So now with all the money and the transfers and all the other stuff goes with it, it's kind of hard to call it an amateur sport anymore. So it is a challenge to the coaches to get the kids ready mentally for the game.
Coach Weddell, we always hear about these 15 extra practices, how crucial they are. From a coach's perspective, explain how those 15, which feels like not a lot of football happening from the last game to the bowl game, how that can be so beneficial, the why behind it for next season.
Well, you talk about how important spring training is. Spring training is 15 practices. So what you get is another spring training for your young kids. Now, these young kids have been playing scout team for the last 3-4 months. They've been in the back of the line when they do skill drills and fundamental drills. So it's a time for you to be able to evaluate the progress that you've made with these young kids going into all season and being able to tell these young kids what they have to do to be able to get on the field next year. So it's another spring training is what it amounts to for the young one. Now, in the case of the portals and all that, with kids opting out, a lot of these young kids are now putting themselves in playing positions. So instead of working on the fundamentals, they're having to work on game plans. So again, college football has changed in every direction you can look at it.
Arch, do you think as a coach that you're better served by playing some of these young guys more in a bowl game of this ilk, or do you still go out and do whatever it takes to win?
Combination of both. You know, now that they've changed the rules that you can play 4 games without losing your redshirt year, you know, there's an opportunity to play these kids and get them in the game, give them a taste of the game. But you don't want to sacrifice a chance to win. In the long run, forever and ever, amen, that W is going to be on one team's side and the L on the other. And I think there's a bunch of Aggie alumni that pay a lot of bills that would like to see that W in College Station, not in South California.
Coach Weddell, what did you like about Marcel Reed this year? Where do you want to see him take his game?
I liked his athleticism. I think everybody said that's what he brings to the table. He's got to be a total player, improving on his accuracy. A lot of his success came when Connor got hurt and he came into the game. Well, they were preparing for Connor, and then all of a sudden you see speed of the game. So the athleticism works, but when you get to work against that kind of athleticism all week, then it kind of neutralizes it some. So he's got to get to where he can understand the fundamentals of the offense, the theory of the offense, the second and third reads on his passing game, and more why things should be working, not just are they working or not as far as the offensive scheme goes. But also being a young kid, his leadership skills now are going to be extremely important. Going into the season, Connor was the leader. At the end of the season, he's now the leader and in the future.
Coach, if I'm not mistaken, or if I'm mistaken, please correct me, but you're a linebacker and a linebacker coach by trade, I think. Is that right?
I was a linebacker coach. I was a good old offensive lineman by trade.
Okay, linebacker coach by trade, among other things. But anyway, I wonder if you watch a game, if you're able to, when you watch a game, do you watch it still as a coach, or do you watch it differently just as a fan? And if you do watch it as a coach, what do you think maybe are the issues with A&M's run defensively?
It's a habit, but I look at the game as a coach. You know, I look at I try to read the guards pulling. I try to read the triangle. I try to lead it as a linebacker. I like to study the schemes that are going on and why the coaches are trying to attack it. And that's a $64,000 question, or in the day of the portal, maybe a little more even. But we just haven't met up to the expectations. I think there's a lot of that going on. Kids are not as focused maybe. We should be a dominating team up front. If you look at our recruiting, I mean, we've been in the Southeast Conference for 10, 12 years now, more than that. And that is a premier recruiting hotbed. That's where kids want to play. We've got great location. We've got tremendous facilities. We've got great alumni base. We've got everything there. And we continue to be an 8-4 team. We've tried everything in the world, from different coaches to different styles to different everything else. But I think that Mike's probably the best fit maybe for Texas A&M from a culture standpoint, from a defensive standpoint. So after this year, he's going to ask that same exact question that you just asked me. He's going to ask it of his staff, and they're going to have to come up with some answers on that. But it's definitely it's not as much fundamentals as much execution. They're just not getting the job done. They're not protecting their gaps, and there's some mental mistake breakdowns that are killing them. And in this game of football, Southeast Conference, one mistake puts 6 points on the board another team.
Coach Weddell, we got to hit a break here, but the frustrating part about what you just mentioned about being a perennial 8-4 type of team is that we won't know if that is fixed for a couple of seasons, because A&M has had the one-offs. Right, they need to have sustained success, which they're still looking for, and hopefully that starts in next season in 2025. Coach Weddell, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year! Thanks so much for joining us, sir.
Good luck. Have a great Christmas. Enjoy the game.
Thank you, sir. Coach Alan Weddell there on the Boss Firearms Hotline. We'll hit a break. We'll come back with another segment with OB here on the Go Hour. Right now, we're talking about Rollo Insurance. The difference is real. They're an independent insurance company built around educating you on exactly what you're paying for, doing the shopping for you so that you can accomplish all of your insurance goals. They've got their headquarters in College Station, right there on Highway 6. It's the place to go. You go there, like Jackson and Jason throw parties there. They do great work there. They're just fantastic people. 60 offices in the great state of Texas, but you can find them all over the place. My wife was driving in Oklahoma. She saw one there. We've seen them in New Mexico. You name it. They are all over the place. We love Rollo Insurance. They've taken care of us for our car and homeowners insurance. They are the absolute best. The phone number is 888-44-ROLLO or go to rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. That is 888-44-ROLLO or rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. And we are back. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. The Go Hour coming to a close here, brought to you by the Warehouse at CC Creations. OB, David Nuño. OB's going to stick around for the top of the 9 o'clock hour. We're going to talk to Logan Lee. Got to get some basketball talk in. We'll bring it up with Logan, but Buzz seemed quite happy with, I don't know if that's the way to phrase it, but I mean, obviously he's happy that they're winning, but I think the way they're winning.
Yeah, well, he ought to be ecstatic. They're playing good basketball, especially on the defensive end, and they were 11-2. I saw they dropped in the AP poll, and that's the crazy thing. Crazy. I mean, nobody cares about the AP poll, but because they played Houston Christian, won easily and dropped. But I guess that's more of a reaction to what somebody behind them did. But look, they're 11-2, like he pointed out. It's again, it's not even January,
right?
And you've got 11 wins. and or are they 10-2? Maybe they're not. I can't see.
They're 10-2.
10-2. They're about to be 11-2.
Yeah.
So you got 10 wins, and you got Abilene Christian coming up, and the schedule that they've played. To come away with that schedule with only 2 losses is just remarkable. And yeah, he ought to be in a good mood. As a press conference, he was pointing out that 2 years ago, just before Christmas, they lost to Wofford.
Right.
And he said, he was the Grinch. He said he wasn't going to be the Grinch this Christmas.
Right,
yeah, he should be in a good mood.
Yep. Let's do this. Let's hit a break because we're going to have to exit here in about a minute. When we come back, we'll talk to Logan Lee about hoops, just how things are looking for all the players, and just the thoughts heading into SEC play, which we're not, what are we, a week away? Almost
January
a week.
4th is their first SEC game opening up against Texas at Reed Arena.
Yep. So we'll be chit-chatting about that, and of course a lot more football. AT at 9:35. I believe Billy at 10 a.m. I believe. Fan show to close out the show. So we've got a lot to get into. You are listening to TexAgs Live, on location, live in Las Vegas. We're brought to you by David Gardner's Jewelers in our Rollo Insurance Studio of Las Vegas. We'll talk to you in a few. And we are back here, TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio of our hotel in Las Vegas, getting ready for the Las Vegas Bowl. Texas A&M taking on USC. That's going to be on Friday night, 9:30 Vegas, Houston, College Station time, whatever.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I don't know why I always say that. Why is Logan making fun of me? Let's go to the Boss Firearms hotline. That's where we find Logan Lee. We got to get some basketball in there.
Like Logan's driving back from Lubbock.
Logan is not driving back from Lubbock. I am sitting in a parked car because there is a 5-year-old birthday that is in the house to go along with 3-year-old twins, my 7-year-old, my 8-year-old, and my wife and in-laws. So this is the quiet place.
Yeah, good decision.
It's interesting because when I reached out to Logan about doing our hit this week, he's like, "Yes, please, let me get out of the house and do this."
You know, I have to do what I have to do for the show because I love y'all so much, and I am willing to take time out of this family time here,
right,
to speak with y'all.
You know what's you always talk about Logan being one of the nicest humans in the world.
The nicest guy I know.
Right? He is. There's no doubt. And so accommodating to every time I tell him, "Hey, can we do 9:00? Yes. Can we do 9:30? Yes." He's a yes guy. Are you a yes guy in business too?
No, not at all. I have a lot of no's in me. Maybe that's why I use all my no's for other places, and I say yes to y'all.
I don't know. Every time I talk to him, hey, Logan, have you gotten rich? Yes. How's it? Great. Yeah. You know, every time I hear him say something about business, it's saying yes.
Yes, we are doing well.
Except when I asked him if he had a job for me, then he said no.
Well, this is true. Hey, Logan, speaking of yeses, yes on Aggie basketball so far.
Man, they've been playing well, and they couldn't go into the break in better fashion. Making them feel good, giving them a nice break off, especially you don't want to go into the break playing a inferior team and having to struggle against them. There was no struggle, and to do it without your best player, without your leader, that's a good sign. Not that Houston Christian is a very good team in comparison to the Purdue's, the Texas Techs, the Wake Forest, Rutgers, but to feel good about the 5-game win streak, increasing it to 6, and then being able to take a couple days off, that's tremendous for their momentum and for their psyche.
What impresses you most about their game right now?
I think it's their ability to score.
Okay.
And that's only because we've been questionable about can they put the ball in the basket? Can they be consistent? They've done it in a number of different ways. Against Purdue, it was good to see Wade Taylor score 15 points and not take a lot of shots. It was good to see him every time they needed a big bucket, he came through and he made that big bucket, but then he didn't follow it up with another heat check from 35 feet. He followed it up with a pass down low to get an easy bucket. And that's I like that growth in the team. And I think they have had a lot better shot selection in the last 3 games.
Logan, when we talk about this team offensively, continuing on that thought, it feels like they still have those lapses that we talk about, but the lapses definitely feel shorter. And obviously in the losses, they felt long. I mean, they felt longer than they should have been. But I feel like they don't feel as backbreaking as in years past. Why do you think that's the case?
I think it feels that way because they're a more complete team this year. In years past, if they struggled, it was someone's going to fire up a 3 from 30 feet with 20 seconds on the shot clock because they were worried, where am I going to get this bucket from? Let me get the ball up so we can try to go get an offensive rebound. Now it's, okay, let's run something, see who's hot, see who has a good option, because we can play inside out now. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself and say this team is a great inside out team. That's not what I'm talking about. This team is a great offensive team. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying they are growing and they are getting better. They are being able to use Henry Coleman on the block. They are being able to use Pharrell Payne on the block, which is opening up the perimeter offense. And so I think that's one reason. And the other reason, they've always played good defense, but I think they are in a really good spot in their defensive intensity and hustle and their rotation. They are thriving on their defense right now, which is helping alleviate some of those offensive woes.
So there's another game before they get into SEC play, and that's a Saturday against Abilene Christian. Now, I know you're a coach, so put on the coach hat here for a second. How would you approach it? Would this be the kind of game that you would again set certain players and let, like in your day, a game like this, would you have set AC Law and let his backup play more? Or do you want to?
Yes.
Yeah, because you were the backup. Okay. Bad example. But I was setting you up for that, by the way. But seriously, do you continue to rest, your frontline guys, if you can, if they're available, meaning Wade, of course, or do you want to go into conference play just having, play, trying to play your best game and making sure everybody stays sharp? Your thoughts on how you approach this last non-conference game?
I think that's a combination of both. I think if Wade Taylor's available, you play him, you start him, you get them off to a good run, you get him. You don't want to have him sit since the Purdue game. You don't want him to be rusty and a little not out of shape, but out of game shape, because players can get out of game shape in a hurry. And so if he misses those two games, and then you got a weekend to going into Texas, that's a long time for him to be sitting. So if he can play, I would play him, and I would play those starting five with I think the term that a lot of people are using that I really don't like, that it just happens. It's a bunch in the NBA is load management. And I would reduce Wade, whether he's 100% or 75%. I'd play him, I don't know, 7 or 8 minutes, maybe 10 minutes in the first half, 7 or 8 minutes in the second half. Make sure he has his legs, make sure he has that rhythm. If he's not doing well, and if he's 100% and he's not playing well, run him a couple of plays, let him get a good feel for it. If he's successful, pull him out. That's what I would do. I would.
Anderson only played 7 minutes in that game against Houston Christian as well.
Exactly. And I would do that because we've talked about it before. The SEC is a gauntlet this year. When you're ranked 13, I think they slid to 13 because of OU's win. When you're ranked 13th and you're the 6th or 7th place team in your conference, that's a tough conference, and they're going to have to be prepared for it, and they're going to need as many bodies as possible. So give them some time off, but make sure that they have good court minutes in this game against Abilene Christian. Let everybody else get the reps because they're going to need it. They're going to at some point they're going to need it down the line. So let them get their minutes right now.
Nick, put that schedule back up because I'm just looking at the start of SEC play. We know the SEC is a gauntlet, but you go Texas at home. That's going to be a big matchup. Number 12, Oklahoma. Number 5, Alabama. Number 10, Kentucky. You could be at January 14th. You're going to be facing 3 top 15 teams, top 12 teams.
Yeah, and I think after the new rankings came out this week, I think 10 of their 18 games are against top 20 ranked teams. And then if you take if you go out and push it out to the vote getters and you order them, which gets you like to the top 48 or something like that, I think 16 of their 18 are in the top 45. That's a tough schedule. You have 0 nights off. You don't have any nights off because those 2 teams that aren't in the top 50 are probably going to get some wins against teams that are in the top 25, and all of a sudden they're going to get bumped up too. So you have no nights off.
I saw Mississippi State work over somebody last week. I can't remember who it was, but I know it was Memphis. Yeah, Memphis is ranked 21.
Right.
I watched Mississippi State work them over. So with all that in mind, from what you just said, let me ask you this. I know we're probably getting ahead of this, the conversation we should be having next week, but I'm never wait. Logan, as an A&M fan and former player, considering how strong the SEC is, if I told you right now, 10-8 in the SEC play, would you take it?
All over that, bro.
Would you take it? Would you take 10-8?
I'd probably say no.
What?
Because I think this team I think this team can get to 10-8 right now as is. And I think 10-8 is a fantastic record. I would not be upset with 10-8. But I think this team has a lot more potential than what they've shown already. And because watching the Purdue game, I mean, they dominated that game from start to finish. Even when Purdue made that little scoring run, I never had the thought process of, oh, here it comes. They're about to lose. Purdue's about to turn it on. I never thought that. So I think they can get to 10-8, and I would be ecstatic with a 10-8 conference record because that's getting you to the tournament, and that's actually probably getting you a really good seed, depending on how you do in the conference tournament. But I think they have the possibility. I'm not saying that they should or that they will, but I think they have the possibility to do better than that. 10-8. No, I think
11-7 gets you a 3 seed, by the way.
Well, so I have mixed feelings about that because even if you go 11-7, if you don't do well in the conference tournament this year, I don't think you get as high of a seed. And the reason being is because there are going to be so many SEC teams that get into the tournament that I think the conference tournament is going to play a factor in the selection committee's decision because that's going to be ranking for March. Because I think all the teams are going to be playing well. Now, obviously, your record is going to play a big factor because they want consistency. But if you have 5 or 6 consistent teams in conference, it's going to come down to who plays best in the conference tournament to who gets the 1 seed, the 2 seed, the 3 seed.
Talking to Logan Lee here on TexAgs Live. Logan, I want to go back to the defense for a moment because I remember in years past, it's felt like a kamikaze approach, and I still think it feels that way, right? But it's much more of synchronized. Is that the right word? I feel like everybody knows where the other guy's going to be. There is no panic. There's no, like, when one guy is rushing the shooter, the other guy knows exactly where to be. Do you see it that way?
Absolutely. I think you have a bunch of juniors and a bunch of graduate transfers who have played together for the last 3 or 4 years it's clicked. And they're doing well with it. And not only that, they've added Burl Payne in the middle, which is, we've talked about it, a Josh Nebo-esque, not as dominant in the paint, but his size, they haven't had his size since Josh Nebo and his athleticism. So, that gives you a little more margin, a little more room for error when you have someone behind you like that. And just their growth, their development as a team. Like I said, they've been playing 3 or 4 years, all of them, and they've been in this system, and they are a well-oiled machine. And I don't want to. I know it sounds like I'm all sunshine and rainbows right now because I'm high on them because of the Purdue game, but I really do feel like this team can do something. They can make waves in conference this year, even though conference is so tough. They have that potential. Now, like I said, I'd be ecstatic with 10-8. 8 losses sounds like a lot in conference, but not this year. It's going to happen. They might drop a game that they shouldn't, but they're going to win a couple of games that on paper they shouldn't.
What games would those be that they shouldn't win? Because it seems to me that you go into every game with this team thinking, yeah, you're probably going to say Alabama, and you're probably going to say Tennessee, but
Auburn's going to be tough. They probably shouldn't win that one.
And they have a history of doing really well against Auburn.
Yeah,
a recent history, and history doing well against Tennessee and Alabama.
And that's where the caveat is on paper. On paper, if you have a higher number next to your name, in front of your name, you're not the underdog. I think A&M is obviously going to come in as the underdog in a handful of games because they're ranked 13th and everybody else is ranked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But they're going to win. They're going to win some of those games. And I mean,
what's the easy wins?
There's no easy game. That is plain and simple. There's no easy game in the SEC this year.
Who do you think is the best team in the SEC coming in? Again, we should probably have this conversation next week.
Right.
I don't know. I haven't seen Tennessee play a full game. I've seen Auburn play really well. I've seen Alabama play really well. I've only seen clips of Kentucky, and man, they look really good.
About Florida?
I haven't seen Florida play. I haven't watched them play.
3 7-footers. Don't they have a 7'9" guy?
Is it 7'9"?
I think it's something outrageous. They got like Sean Bradley.
I mean, last year I would have been nervous about that with Henry Coleman because last year Henry Coleman couldn't finish a bucket under the basket if he had somebody that was guarding him that was 6'9" or above.
Right.
This year he's shown that he can score and he can use his strength to get space. But yeah, last year I would have been worried about every team that had anybody over 6'9".
Logan, I know it's about going deep in the tournament and winning conference championships, but do you think Aggie basketball, if you look at the last 20 years, this has been a very good program. Does Aggie basketball get the props it deserves if you look at since Billy took over in the early 2000s to what we've seen since then with Turgeon and it's just been sustained success with Billy Kennedy and now Buzz?
I don't think A&M basketball as a program has the name, but I also don't think that we necessarily deserve that history because throughout, let's say, the last 20 years, we've done well and then we've flopped, and then we've done well and then we've flopped. We've remained consistent in the tournament. You know, Gillespie, 2 out of his 3 years, got to the tournament and won games. Turgeon took over, got to the tournament, but didn't win many games, just got to the tournament. Billy Kennedy didn't go to the tournament, missed it by a ton, missed it by a mile his first year. Then he makes the tournament, misses the tournament, goes to the Sweet 16, and then doesn't even make the tournament the next year, but then goes back to the Sweet 16 the year after that. And so there's just not that consistency in there. Buzz has made the tournament, but has not been consistent in getting to the second weekend, which everybody knows his teams probably should have gotten to the second weekend. So if Buzz can get them to the second weekend and, dare I say, possibly beyond that, that would be huge. But the consistency still hasn't been there for A&M basketball program to be considered one of the top echelons in the country.
But there you have it. Logan Lee saying that Texas A&M is going to the Final Four. Make your reservations for San Antonio.
Hey, but
you said Logan's house in San Antonio.
Logan, don't you think this team though is a team? And I hate saying this because you can say this about any team, but when it comes to A&M, they're the type of team that I could see being an early out or going all the way to a Final Four because of the veteran leadership, right? Like the team that they are a team that I think would scare pretty much most, especially these young one and done teams.
No, I don't think they're an early out.
Good.
I don't think they're an early out. I think this team will be prepared. I think their defense will withstand any team. And you know where upsets happen by the higher ranked programs is because they have a hot shooter. They have a couple of shooters that get super hot and they just can't stop them. I think this team's defense is good enough to withstand that type of barrage of threes because they have been more balanced on offense. And because they have been more consistent, they've been consistently growing and developing. I don't think that this team is going to get upset in the tournament because they will get a higher seed this year. They will be prepared, and their defense will finally outlast whatever offensive threat there is by the opponent.
Well, what have you seen about their defense that specifically that makes them better than they were a year ago?
Like Nuño mentioned, it's the fact that they are cohesive. It's like the analogy is you tie a string to everybody, and when one person moves, the entire team moves, and they all move in step, and that's what they have been doing. I personally, I don't know, and because I'd never played against a team that forces you to the short corner so hard. I mean that is what they do, and it has been so effective. It has. I see how it works, and I see what it does. I don't understand where teams don't bring a guy to the middle, don't set a screen coming out. It's just that good. And to be honest, it sounds easier, but when you have a guy like Solomon Washington, who has a wingspan almost of 7 feet, and his athleticism and his strength is physically forcing you to the short corner, I guarantee you it's hard to get around. And it's hard to probably pass out of because he is so long and because he is so athletic. So you have guys like that, like Anderson Garcia, even Jace Carter has been doing well in that position, forcing you baseline. You only have one direction. And so when you only have one choice, one option, the entire defense knows exactly where you're going. And that's where they jump into the passing lanes. That's where they're able to rotate. And that's what has been so successful.
Logan, we appreciate it, man. Happy
guys,
New Year, Merry Christmas, and enjoy the parties.
Hey, enjoy Vegas. Let's get a good win for Aggie football. Bring that home, and I appreciate the time, guys.
We'll talk to you soon, man.
Go back to the party.
Yeah, have a good one.
Good times. We have different kind of parties here, OB. Vegas party versus kid party. It's all right, though. Logan he's a chameleon. He can hang out in any environment.
I think Logan is, from what the Logan I know, is more comfortable in the kids' party.
Yeah.
Vegas party, yeah.
What do you think? What do you think about myself?
I think that you would be, at this time in your life, more comfortable with the kids' party.
Yes.
I think there was a time when you were much more comfortable in the Vegas party.
Yeah, this is true. It's been a minute. All right, OB, thank you, buddy. Appreciate your time. All right, we're going to hit a break here. We'll have an open segment. We'll talk to AT. We'll talk to Billy, I think. And then we'll have the fan show, guys. Right now, we're talking about Heritage Films. That's Chance McClain's company. They make documentary films about family. So we did a Christmas Eve dinner at my parents' house. It would have been cool to have Chance there, just kind of document it all, be an eye in the sky of family stories that we were passing on with my dad and my mom and my brother's family. It would have been cool to have Chance kind of do that in a 2-hour documentary style. You can do an eye in the sky kind of documentary. You can just focus on one person. You can do your family business, your family ranch. And this is first class Netflix style documentaries done by a guy who's a good old boy, but the most creative guy I know. His name is Chance McClain, and the company is Heritage Films. The website is yourheritagefilm.com, yourheritagefilm.com, 713-893-8341, 713-893-8341. All right, we are back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is hour number 2, and it looks like we'll have Billy on at around 10 o'clock. Looking forward to chatting with him and finding out his travels here on the program. Not on the program, just in general. But we got a few text messages to get into. There's no Angry Elephant News in Social Center. People are off, as they should be. So we will chat with them at some point during the program. But right now, let's see. As a reminder, the final segment of the show is brought to you by Double Dave's. That is at 10:50. But right now, caller number 12, 979-693-1150 will hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They've been serving Aggieland since 1984 with your favorite pizza and, of course, those world-famous pepperoni rolls, reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com, and your favorites are on their way. So we're going to read a couple text messages. Madden in Houston says, haven't been keeping up. Is Ruben Owens expected to play? I haven't heard otherwise. I do expect him to play. There's no guarantee on that, but I wouldn't be surprised if he got a handful of carries. He worked so hard to get back for the Texas game, and obviously had the season kept on going the way we wanted it to by making it to the playoffs, I think we would have seen a lot more of him from week to week. So I do believe that we will see Ruben in this game, and I think that's something we can ask Coach Elko a little bit later on. He is supposed to speak around 1 o'clock Texas time, so here in a few hours. So we will be asking him about Ruben Owens. We'll certainly ask him about how the offense is looking. Because going back to what Coach Weddell said earlier, I think those 15 extra practices, people just kind of gloss over it. It's so important, guys. If you consider how important spring football is, and this is basically the exact quote from Coach Weddell earlier, you're getting that in overdrive right after the season, right? And a lot of it is with young players, because we expect there to be some younger players who hadn't played, or at least at the starters level, right? I got intimately quiet and dark in here. That's interesting. But I'll fix that at the break. But that's basically what the situation is. You're getting a lot more reps with the 1s and 2s that you weren't getting before. Marcel's going to have a whole 15 extra practices as the guy, as this being his team. So I think it is so important. And back to the Ruben Owens comment, giving him the rock a few times. I don't know how much of a load he can have, but let's see he and Amari just do big things and set you up for a 2025 season. Because when you think about it, 2025 backfield could be even better than it was. It should be even better than it was this past season, because Le'Veon was so good. Amari was so good. You throw in a healthy Ruben Owens, watch out. All right, we're going to hit a break. When we come back, we're going to talk to Aaron Torres of Aaron Torres Online. We'll talk big picture college football playoffs, because I know Aaron's against the expansion of college football, and I'm not. And I don't know if he's against it, but I think he's done with the conversation about, bad team, good team. This is what you asked for, guys. I think there's a better way of picking teams, and I think the eyeball test is certainly a part of that. But we could talk about that with AT on the other side. Right now, a moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell. Online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. They constantly have good deals on their website. If you go to CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com, you'll see that they have their inventory on there. You can get a kind of a feel for what's going to be on the lot. You can get a feel for what's the price. But then when you go, you're going to be blown away by the experience, by the people, and by the pricing. The pricing is going to be great. The trading value is going to be great. The customer service before, during, and after the process is second to none. Complimentary pickup and delivery for their service customers. And they have complimentary oil change for life of the vehicle as long as you own that car from Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Remember, it's not a far drive. We're talking 15 minutes. The edge of Bryan to the beginnings of Caldwell. A short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the great people at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell. Online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. We're back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Appreciate everybody listening and texting in on the program or watching wherever you may be watching, YouTube, the CW, listening on the Zone, TexAgs.com. Right now it's time for Around College Football, presented by Milliken Reserve, a College Station community featuring homes, trails, farms, and wide open spaces with a mission to build a healthy community around nature. Learn more at MillikenReserve.com. Let's go straight to the Boss Firearms Hotline. We're joined by Aaron Torres. AT, good morning, my friend.
Good morning. Where are you, buddy?
This is our new set. No, I'm kidding. This is Las Vegas, the Virgin Records Hotel, I think it's called.
The Virgin? That's Resorts World. It's near Resorts World, I think. I just stayed at Resorts World like a month ago, so it was great. I think they're like partner, sister. I think they call them sister hotels or something. I could be making that up, but
yeah, it's nice. I got in last night to my room around 1 a.m. from travels from Christmas Day. So trying to operate on fumes here. AT, I think we're going to agree on a lot of things today. We're going to disagree on a few things, I think, based on some of the tweets that I saw.
Well, first of all, do you like Vegas or not? Because otherwise, we're ultimately going to disagree on everything. I mean, that's the only, literally, besides my wife and my dog and my parents, Vegas holds about as big of a place in my heart as anywhere. It's my favorite vacation city. Now, I know we don't, I know you don't go quite as hard in the paint as you're not, peak Charles Oakley as far as that's concerned, but I don't either. I just, I always say this, David, I'll be serious for a sec. Some guys like to golf, some guys like to ski, some guys like to run 10Ks, whatever. When I just need like 36 hours to decompress, I don't do a golf trip. Me and a buddy will go to Vegas. We'll sit in a sports book. We'll watch a couple games, maybe have a few cold ones. So it's my favorite city in the world. So that's where we might disagree. To start this segment. So
I'm going to give you a Nuñoism. Nick laughs when I do these. It is, but it isn't. All right, I'm going to give you an it is and it isn't. I am not a Vegas guy because I don't gamble. I don't drink. I love sports, but I like Vegas. So like there's a
so you get it.
Yeah, like there's an energy here that it's not a New York City energy, but there's a similar vibe. Like it's just alive, right? There's that part of it. From a lot of the other places we could have gone to for a bowl game, this was definitely in my top 3 or 4. I am more of a beach kind of guy. If I'm picking like, if I want to unwind, I want to go to a beach town. Water makes me happy, lake or beach. So, but no, Vegas is cool. I don't drink, I don't gamble. So it's
really funny. I'll be quick because I know you want to actually talk football and things like that. But that's what I always say about Vegas is I think there's this impression, and I've heard it from people our age, younger. Oh, I don't do this, I don't do that. It's like, that's a great part about the city. There's no one that forces you to do anything. Now, I will say the summertime when the pools are open, it's a little bit better because you can get that kind of beach vibe. And not every pool is a crazy, pool party. There's chill pools. There's whatever. But yeah, no, that's what I always say. I love the energy. I love just walking. People say, "What do you do?" It's like I'm not a huge gambler. I certainly am too old to be. I can't be the old guy in the club. Everybody knows that. I just like to grab a cold one and walk around and just kind of people watch. So I love the city, and I appreciate that you appreciate the city too, because that's exactly when you said, I don't love it, but I totally get why people like it, or whatever you said, I like it. That's the vibe right there. People either get the vibe or they don't. You, sir, clearly get the vibe. So, good.
Yeah, it's great. Like, look, would I rather be here or Mobile, Alabama, or wherever the bowl game is? Or I like Birmingham, actually. I actually do like Birmingham, but this is cool. It's a people watching town. So let's talk people watching. I think you and I are very similar here. Maybe I'm wrong. There's a Lane Kiffin part that I really like. All right? I like that he says what he thinks. Okay. I don't like a couple of things. I don't like when you come across as a whiny, classless person. And I think too often that's how he comes across. He picked some fights with A&M in the past that I have an issue with, right? You're going to go after Jimbo. That's one thing, but he's come after the culture. He's come after A&M. He's even made some, tweets this year, about the portal and whatnot. The way he has come across whining about not being invited without looking in the mirror and realizing, bro, it's on us because we lost to a bad Kentucky team and other losses, right? And Alabama as well. Like Alabama has not, I don't believe, been as out there as Ole Miss has. If Alabama doesn't lose to Oklahoma, a bad Oklahoma team, they're here. While they may be the better team and there might be a better system in the future, I don't like the way he comes across being so whiny.
Well, and what I would say really quick, and I said this a lot last weekend, and some people may have heard it, some people may have not. Listen, I have never once argued that SMU is a superior team to Ole Miss or that Indiana is a superior team to Alabama. But what I will say is I think one thing that has been lost in the shuffle, people say, they're in the SEC, you got to give them the benefit of the doubt. Here's the thing. They were already getting the benefit of the doubt. If a 10-2 Alabama team finished the regular season at 10-2, they would have gotten in over an 11-1 Indiana. If Ole Miss had finished at 10-2, they would have gotten in over an 11-2 SMU. They were already getting the benefit of the doubt, and then each independently lost a third game from there. Both of them lost twice to unranked opponents. Now, I certainly know you can argue that Florida by the end of the year was a different team than they were the beginning of the year when DJ Lagway became the full-time starter. But that was my issue. They were already getting the benefit of the doubt. And then to your point, it did just come across as whiny. It became across as, dude, the window was there. Of all the teams, by the way, forget even the Florida loss. Of all the teams that were in serious contention for those final spots, you had by far the worst loss out of everybody, right? And I just bring it up because this is one thing about Indiana. This is one thing about SMU. You can criticize a lot of things on their resume. They beat every single team they were supposed to. And in the case of Indiana, they basically destroyed everybody that wasn't Ohio State, Michigan, and then, of course, Notre Dame in the college football playoffs. So there are different criteria, and I'll just go back, and I'll be quick because I know we got a lot of stuff to get to in a short amount of time, but I'll go back to what I said the day after the bracket came out. Whether you agree with the committee or not, they ultimately decided that their criteria was no great wins and no bad losses was superior to some really good wins and some really bad losses. And that doesn't just apply to SMU and Indiana. It also applies to Texas. Texas had 0 ranked wins at the end of the regular season. And so if you're going to have that criteria, you have to apply it across the board. They applied it to Texas. They applied it to Indiana. By the way, Penn State, one top 25 win over an Illinois team that was the fringes of the top 25. And so that was the criteria that they decided upon. Everybody in one bucket benefited from it, not only Indiana and SMU, but Texas and Penn State as well. And other teams that had great wins but great losses, they all suffered from that, most notably Ole Miss and Alabama. So that's my rant. I know I've said it probably on your airwaves last week when we talked about this, but to your broader point, yes, I agree. Lane Kiffin came off as extremely whiny over the course of the weekend.
AT, I believe you also are semi against expansion of the playoffs. I forget if you're okay with the number of 12, but something that a lot of people are bringing up is the blowouts that we've seen. So some of these teams shouldn't even be here. And I went back and I did some searching. Even in the 14 playoff, 67% of the games were blowouts. If you consider a 2-score game a blowout, 67% of the games. I'm looking through these. 2014, Oregon defeats Florida State 59-20. Ohio State beats Oregon 42-20. Like, you just go through all these. This is normal at these playoffs. I think the difference is this year, I don't know if anybody's that clear-cut BA, right? In years past, there's been that Ohio State team, that Georgia team, that Alabama team that we all know they're the best team out there. I think this year there is at least a conversation as who is that number one team.
Yeah, so I'd say two things on that. One, first of all, the one thing I will agree with kind of the people that are not happy with this format, I do think that the top four conference champions getting auto buys, that is something that I think is worth revisiting. The example I keep using, if Duke and Carolina on Selection Sunday in basketball are number 1 and number 2 team in the country, and one loses in the ACC tournament championship game, they don't go down to the 9 seed when the bracket comes out. They still are rewarded for the totality of their schedule. And I think we probably need to think about that if we stay at 12, which we're probably not going to, by the way. But what I would also say, and I think this is something we all got lost, and I don't even think it kind of fully registered with me until late Saturday, early Sunday when all the results are in. You know why we had so many blowouts? It wasn't because Indiana should have been in over, Alabama should have been in over Indiana. It's because it's really freaking hard to win on the road in college 100%. Football. By the way, especially when you are the inferior team going to the superior team, okay? So, like, I think we all forgot about that. And what I would just say really quick is, like, the Alabama thing makes me laugh. Oklahoma, which had the 19th ranked total defense in college football this year, held them to 3 points the last time I saw Alabama on the road. every single defense that Alabama would have faced on the road to open the playoffs statistically was better than Oklahoma. So don't tell me that Alabama, because they have a script A on their helmet, would have definitively played better than Indiana, SMU, Clemson, whoever. Could have been just as likely been a blowout if it was Alabama at Penn State or Alabama at Notre Dame. But I saw you shaking your head, and I just think we all, and by the way, I include myself, it didn't register with me. Oh, all 4 home teams that were expected to win won, like they do a lot during every Saturday that we sit around and watch college football every week.
I wasn't disagreeing. I was agreeing with you.
No, I saw you shaking your head. It was a great point by me. Why would you disagree? I can't get mad.
Maybe I was shaking my head at something else.
Oh, okay. You were shaking your head. You're like, what am I doing after this show today? I got so many options.
No.
I can do anything.
Yeah, I got press conference.
I'm going to go to the hotel. No, you're not. You might see that Coors Light tap, and you might say, I haven't had a cold Coors Light, and it's been a while. Let me try one of these. How does this roulette deal work? It's okay. That's what you were shaking your head about. You can tell the truth. We're all friends here.
I think you know me. If I disagree, I'll tell you. And I'll look on the camera directly at you, and I'm disagreeing with you right now.
What about that winning on the road isn't?
No, I think that's exactly the right point. I 100% agree with you. To me, I know A&M did not hold up their end of the bargain at the end of the season, but like home field matters in college football. If it's South Carolina, if it's Ohio State, if it's Happy Valley, I don't care where, it matters. And so this weekend, I kind of want you to look at where we might see, if you were to rank potential upsets, where you would start. So give me your number 1 potential upset of the matchups, your number 2, 3, and 4. Kind of do that for me.
Well, I mean, does Oregon count as an upset over Ohio State? They're a slight, you're in Vegas. I mean, you got that big flashing board right in front of you. What I will say, listen, because of the way the bracket falls, I do think it's hard to find the scenario where Texas loses to Arizona State. I think Boise's maybe a little bit more likely. They showed out well against Oregon a few weeks ago. The pressure's clearly on Penn State. Those 2 marquee matchups, though, and I'll do a little tease. I will be on Fox Sports Radio, 11 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Eastern time, actually, on New Year's Day, recapping all those games, and I'm so excited. But the 2 games, first of all, with Ohio State, what I would say really quick, and by the way, I know we're short on time, so cut me off if I'm going long. I think it's where I was on air for the Ohio State-Tennessee game, and I was kind of shocked by it. Immediately went to nobody believes in Ryan Day to, this is actually the best team in the country, and they're going to win it all. I think it's worth noting with Ohio State, their 2 biggest wins, Penn State and then also Indiana, were immediately followed by probably their 2 worst overall performances. After Penn State, they struggle against Nebraska. After Indiana, they lose to Michigan. So I'm not sold that they've figured out some magic elixir. Now they're going on a run as an 8 seed. And then the other one, obviously it goes without saying, Georgia, Gunnar Stockton, backup. And I do wonder if Notre Dame, you guys saw him in person, you saw him on the field, you'd have even a better perspective than I would. I think they actually match up pretty well, size, physicality. I know historically Notre Dame has not done well against SEC teams, but I think they kind of have more of a team that is built to actually hang with an SEC team this year, especially with a Georgia team with Gunnar Stockton making his first career start.
I would agree with all that. I would ask, who's Notre Dame beat? I guess that would be my question. And that's the same thing for Texas, right? Like these conversations. But at this point, if you're going to win a national championship, you're going to be some really good teams. So that argument goes out the window, I'd say, after this weekend. Although Texas beating Arizona State would not surprise. I mean, I expect it. It's not that I expect them to win and move on and take on either Oregon or Ohio State. I would not be surprised if Boise State beats Penn State. I agree with you there. And this Georgia Notre Dame matchup, like I think Georgia's battle tested. That's the difference. Is Gunnar Stockton battle tested? Yep. He played really well in relief. How does he play as the starter?
If I have 30 seconds, that's
you can have 44.
Okay, 44 seconds. So really quick. So, okay. So no, what I would say is Georgia's another one like Ohio State is I think we too often use the last, thing that we saw as like a reflection on the entire season. And I was not critical of Ohio State, but I was realistic about Ohio State. I think it's the same with Georgia. Georgia has really not been able to run the football this year. Georgia, by the way, now has a backup quarterback playing in this game. And I think we just so focus on those 2 incredible performances against Texas Well, they gave up 40-something points to Georgia Tech, final game of the regular season. Got smoked by Ole Miss, obviously, and Ole Miss is more explosive offensively than Notre Dame. But it's not as though just because Georgia is the SEC champ, just because they're coming off maybe their best game of the season, that has been who they've been for 13 or 14 weeks. So I think that's an important variable as well. If I'm going to say it about Ohio State, it's probably worth noting about Georgia as well.
AT, great time as always, brother. Talk to you soon.
Enjoy Vegas. We'll talk soon, David. Not Happy New Year. Yeah, I guess I'll see you. I'll see you in 2025. We'll see you then.
We'll do it, brother.
Take care.
Happy New Year's.
Bye.
AT there on the Boss Firearms Hotline. Catch his work at AT or Aaron Torres online and FSR. All right, we'll hit a break here. We'll come back with a short segment, then Billy Liucci's TexAgs Live. All right, when we come back to TexAgs Live, I'm already going into it. We'll have Billy Liucci on the program, talk about his travels here to Vegas, and just kind of, I didn't get to talk to him about the transfer additions, how things are looking, get us ready for, obviously, this matchup against USC in Las Vegas. We'll get to some text messages. If you have a question for Billy, 979-693-1150. You are listening to TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio of Las Vegas. Talk to you in a bit. And we are back here on TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are in the Rollo Insurance Studio, hour number 3 of the program. We think Billy Liucci will be joining us here momentarily. If you want to be a part of the conversation, multiple ways to talk to us. You can call us up at 979-693-1150, or you can also comment on the YouTube show or on the TexAgs.com show. Multiple ways. Text us at the 979-693-1150, or you can call us up and we'll pick it up on the Boss Firearms hotline. Billy's having some trouble with the Zoom link, so Nick will take care of that. I want to also tell you guys about FBS Appliance and their team of experts. They're here to help you with the appliances that make your house a home. They carry all the top brands to make your life easier with appliances to fit any budget. They've been carrying for Texas since 1988. They have your trusted brands like Bosch, expert staff, trained installers to guide you through the purchase, because FBS Appliance is your trusted appliance store. Visit any of their 8 showrooms across Texas or find them online at factorybuilderstores.com. As we wait for Billy to get on the program, I kind of wanted to go into that the topic, because people were complaining about these blowouts in college football, in the college football playoffs. And I'm just looking through all these guys. It happens all the time. In the 14 playoff, I'm just looking at some of these scores. 2018, you had Clemson defeating Notre Dame, the 3 seed, by the way, 30-3. You had Clemson defeating Alabama, 44-16. Alabama got blown out. 2019, 63-28 LSU over Oklahoma. LSU defeated Clemson that year, 42-25. This has been the norm for the playoffs, these high caliber teams. And I think AT's point about playing at home is something that should not be forgotten, right? It is a huge part of the conversation. 2020, we know how good Alabama was that year. They defeat Ohio State in the championship game, 52-24. Ohio State beats Clemson that year, 49-28. Bama destroyed Notre Dame, 31-24. So there's been multiple blowouts in that one. 2021, same thing. Alabama wins by 21 points. Georgia wins by 24 points. Georgia defeats Alabama by 15. All the games were by double digits. Michigan defeats Washington last year, 34-13. Or that was 23. In 24, so far, we've had the 3. So, as I mentioned earlier, 65% of the games in the playoffs have been blowouts. And so when people do complain about it, that is part of the conversation. Like, it's not because you expanded, it's because you have high elite teams. And I think this year, a couple things could have been done. You could have picked a different strategy to get your teams in there. Look, Alabama should have won their last game against Oklahoma, but they were 9-3, and a 9-3 SEC team was probably not going to make the playoffs. You want to break away and do your own thing with the SEC and the Big Ten. I think we got Billy ready. So let's go to the Boss Firearms hotline. We are joined by Dan Campbell's friend, the guy with the best hoodie and hat in the business, Billy Liucci. Good morning, buddy.
I didn't know you had me on video, Nuño. Great.
You don't have to do video.
I mean, I'd rather not unless this angles. Trying to enjoy a little breakfast.
You're not on video, Billy. Don't worry.
I can see you, Billy.
Oh, all right, Nuño.
What's up, buddy?
At our room? What is that?
This is our room. Yeah.
I said that like we're sharing a room.
The casting couch here on TexAgs Live. That's where I'm doing the show from.
By the way, best of luck next fall. I've decided you and Olin will be sharing a room on every road trip.
Oh, it's interesting that I'm not going to be traveling. Hey, it was a really nice Christmas. Got to be with my parents. As you know, they've had some health issues over the last month, but it was nice to be there. They were sharp. They had a good time. It's, we cherish those moments. The kids had a great Christmas. I was telling OB, Billy, I've gotten to a point where Christmas gifts are more like things that can help me around the house. Got a power washer. That's the kind of Christmas I had, buddy.
Well, I feel like I treat myself to Christmas all year, so I don't expect any elaborate or fancy gifts. So it's just fun, like you said, being with family, and that's what we did. And it's even better when they come to you in College Station. I don't have to head to Houston, but that's where I'm heading right now, heading to Vegas. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of delays today with this weather, but I'm going to be seeing y'all tonight.
Yeah, looking forward to that, man. I want you to kind of join in on the conversation I was having, because AT brought us one direction, and I kind of extrapolate it a little bit. People complaining about the playoffs and the blowouts. And look, there is some things to complain about. There's no doubt about it. But this has been the norm since the 14 playoff has happened. We've had so many. I had the numbers here. Let me go back to it, Billy. But basically, we've had 22 of the 34 playoff games all time since the 14 playoff started have been by 14 or more points. So 65% of the games have been blowouts. It's not just because they expanded this year to 12. It has been a case in the playoffs.
No, look, I've thought about that too, and that's not even, to me, that's the first step of looking at it the right way. The second step is we want all these first round games to be involving the Arizona States and the Boise's of the world, and we want, Boise versus SMU and Arizona State. Go feed them to Ohio State or whatever. We want the buys to be the best teams, and I think that's how it should be. I don't think you should give teams auto buys like Arizona State, like Boise. If you want to do anything, guarantee the conference champs a home game. That's what they should do. You want to do anything, guarantee the conference champs in that Boise bid. I think they should get rid of that group of 5 or whatever it is. But if you want to keep it, give them the first round home game. Okay. Like that's your present is that you got in out of a crap conference. That's number one, your holiday gift that college football is giving you just to keep you and your spare league relevant. And number two, I would say your other gift will be you get a home game. And now shut up and be happy you're in here. We're going to put the better teams with the buys. Will that solve your blowout problem? Probably a little bit, because even though that Clemson-Texas game was a 14-point game, normally you're going to have better matchups in round 2. Like the Clemsons and let's say the Tennessees will survive round 1, and maybe those are blowouts, and they get to round 2, and they should be better games. The point is they're not always. You use the playoff example. I'll use the Ohio State-Tennessee example. It doesn't guarantee you anything, but it ups the odds. It lessens the odds of a blowout. And, yeah, you might get those blowouts in round 1, but you also might get those spectacular upsets in round 1 that lead to the blowouts in round 2. It's fine, but it's just the way it should be structured. It's just the way it should be structured is those teams did not prove enough on the field against worthy enough opposition to be getting buys, and it really sets up for blowouts in round 2, which is what you're generally going to try to avoid. Because in theory, we know it's never going to work this way, but in theory, you could set up this sacrificial lamb thing in the first round, and you have better matchups in the second round. It doesn't guarantee that, no. And then if there's a sacrificial lamb that wins, they're much better, it's a much bigger story. Here's SMU that just knocked off Tennessee, and they're moving into round 2 to face Penn State. The Nittany Lions need to watch out. Well, they get smacked around, but I think the buildup is a lot more if they're coming off a win over, say, a Clemson or a Tennessee.
Billy, so I'm adding to your theory here. If you did maybe the top 2 teams instead of a bye, those 2 teams get home games, okay? Then the rest of them are neutral site games. So the Texas Clemson game maybe looks a little different if it's played at one of these bowl sites.
True.
Pardon?
I said true. Good point.
Oh, thank you. I try to bring good points.
Pardon?
Yep. We're just going to talk over each other. That's what we're going to do.
Well, it's a delay and it's raining, so it's tough. But we're holding it together.
We are holding it together. How surprising, and I guess now that we've kind of discussed it, that the home games matter so much, and I don't know why I didn't think of it, but I really thought Tennessee was going to go beat Ohio State down. What we got was the opposite of that. Just how surprising was that matchup? Because I guess technically Tennessee had, one really nice victory, but I don't know. Were you shocked by that?
I was shocked. by how well Will Howard played. I give Ohio State a ton of credit for how aggressive they were. I mean, they just went after it, right? They came out, tried to end Tennessee early. I was shocked because I thought Tennessee's defense, Nuño, was better than that. I thought Tennessee's defense would be what held them in it. I worried a little bit about their offense. It's why I worry about a lot of the SEC teams this year, Dave. I worry a lot. There just wasn't great quarterback play in this conference, and it's why Texas got by the way they did. And you look at the lack of starting quarterbacks they faced, or the guys that were either replaced after they played them, or were backups that had to come in when the starter failed. And A&M benefited from that at times this year too. And then down the stretch, they ran into the regular starters, and they ran into two of the best in the conference in Sellers and Ewers. And so, but there weren't many. Dart, Sellers, Ewers. I thought Milroe was up and down. I thought Ewers is up and down. You can ask the Texas fans that. Sellers really emerged in the second half. Nussmeier, who everybody's going to be praising this whole offseason, really started to struggle with turnovers when LSU started losing important games. So it wasn't a great year at quarterback, and Nico was never a great quarterback. They were a great running back in Dylan Sampson and a great defense, and they ran into a guy that did play great at quarterback. So I was surprised by the score, not necessarily the Ohio State win.
Do you think they will revisit it as early as next season, the way they go about adding their teams for the playoffs, or do you think we just have to play this out for a couple of years, have more data points?
If they do anything, they might change the bye situation. I think that's it.
Yeah, I agree with you, Billy. When we talk about A&M and their run, hopefully next year to being they were knocking on the door. Hopefully next year they can break through. The portal additions that they've been getting, man. Like, I know that people were, I don't know if complaining is the right word, but they wanted more. The
They're
9 guys they're complaining, but that's college football fans in general. The 9 guys they've added, Billy, I really like. I hate using this word because we've seen it too many times, but the potential of these guys, a lot of young players that we know the talent, that maybe in the right system, we get to see that talent maximized.
I love what they've added with the 2 receivers. I'm a lot more optimistic about what they're doing on the D-line because I know there's going to be more added. I wasn't getting nervous, but there's a high number they need to add there, like probably as many as 5. And so when you were sitting at 0 or 1, I didn't feel like that was enough, or it wasn't enough. I felt like that second window of the portal, which I think we're in now, and we're starting to see some more guys go in, which was really fruitful to Elko and company last year. That second window, yes, there's going to be some players, and I think you might look up, especially after these last 2 portal additions on the D-line, if they can continue to upgrade. I think they need a little more impact. What I think, any of these guys could be impact, but what I think will be real impact, as in push these guys you're going to see start the bowl game, Regis, Ryland, DJ, and Howell. You got to get guys that are going to push them where they're going to have to fight to start. And maybe you've already got that, but I think I'd like to see some, I'm not saying you're going to go get the Big Ten sack leader like you did with Nick Scorton and a first-team All-SEC pick. But, yeah, I mean, I'd love to see them get somebody that we think has the potential to be a first-team All-Conference player out of the portal at your biggest position of need. I mean, Micah Hudson's got that potential. I don't think he makes that kind of jump in year 1, but I could see him doing that next year if he's who we think he is. Craver comes in, having played in the league and been a good player already. So I'm excited about receiver. I still think same deal. I'd like to see them add kind of the guy a big outside guy that's ready to come in and have I think both those guys have an impact at receiver, but you know what I'm saying? That's why Nick Anderson, I want to see a guy with the experience and the production, both. And I want to see that guy come into that receiving core to take it from exciting to elite. And then,
and that guy's still out there, right, Billy?
Do what?
And that guy is potentially still out there.
We better be. I mean, I think they need him to be. Concepcion would certainly fit that bill 100%. And they're very much in that one. He would absolutely, minus that he's not a tall, big outside guy. I think that's a separate need as well. But if you could get them both in with the same person, great. But yeah, Concepcion is a game changer. That would cap off. I think that would be an A++ haul at receiver if you added him to what you got. The D line, I don't know that he's out there yet, but I do think from some names I've heard, I think there's some very specific names I'm waiting to see go into the portal from power programs, and that I think A&M will already be in. It doesn't guarantee anything, but will be in a nice position to be able to land, and they've got money to do it. That's for sure. So you lost those D linemen that were making quite a bit in terms of NIL in Turner, Scorton, and Stewart. There's plenty to replace them, and you've got it. And you're not going to – Mike Elko's not going to spend it willy-nilly. He's not going to overpay. He's not going to spend it on guys that don't deserve it. I think a lot of his money is going – they're playing the NIL game, and they're playing it well. I think you'll see them play it much better moving forward for those wondering. I'm still expecting that, particularly on the D-line. But, I'll give you an example. They lost a lineman to Oregon and a lineman to Ohio State, offensive lineman. I think they're going to bring back damn near everyone that played this year, minus your backup guards in Dewberry and Shanahan. I think there's a really good, and these guys all have to announce still, but like Zune, Basantis, Naboo, Crownover, Fathery, maybe I think there's a real chance you get both of them back. Armage has kind of said it already. You might return the whole line in terms of what matters. And rather than go in the portal and get a guy that went to Ohio State from Rice and went to Oregon from Nevada. But I think they could go to the NFL. I'm not saying they're not NFL play. They probably are. But that price tag, Nuño, and I'm not exaggerating in the slightest when I say to add those two linemen, it's probably north of $2.5 million. And Oregon needed it. They're desperate at tackle. I don't know if Ohio State is desperate or not, but I'm assuming so, to pay that amount. And so when you're going out on the open market and it's a desperate need, then yeah, you probably overpay. And you might see A&M do that. And by overpay, it's all relative now, right? But you might see A&M have to do that to put that icing on the defensive line cake, or to go get that receiver that we talked about earlier. If they do it, you do it at those positions. You don't do it at positions where there's like a ton of guys coming back. Your money is much better spent on the guys in your actual room. Your money is much better spent keeping your roster intact and keeping guys within your system. Ronnie brought that up the other day. I think, people had gotten in his ear and changed his tune about it. He all of a sudden went it felt like he was going straight. Just keep your team intact and don't go portal. And I'm exaggerating, but I felt like he went too far that direction. He woke up one day with a whole new concept saying Texas didn't utilize the portal as much, like the mainly homegrown. But I think the truth is somewhere in between.
Right.
Ohio State. The rumor is that Ohio State went straight portal. No, they didn't. They got Judkins and Downs, and they got some other guys, but most of that football team, Will Howard, obviously the quarterback, most of that football team is Ohio State, from beginning till where they're at now. Same with Texas, but they still went and got massive portal help the last couple of years from guys like A.D. Mitchell and Makuba and the pass rusher from UTSA. I mean, they've absolutely been in the portal, and technically Quinn Ewers is portal as well. So, yeah, I understand there's a real importance to spend your money on your roster. I totally believe that. But also, if you look at these teams that are playing, Oregon with Dylan Gabriel, Ohio State, we mentioned Texas, you've got to go out, in my opinion. It's not even an opinion. I think you're going to look up. It's going to be factual. You got it when you got a chance to get guys in the portal. You got to get big time guys in addition to the depth and this. Here's a starter. We've upgraded a little bit at this position by going in the portal. Here's depth here. Here's a guy that might end up being good there. But no, I think you need some big time impact out of the portal, and they might have that at receiver. And I think they might end up with three options of that at receiver. I'm looking for that still on the defensive line. I do think they really are off to a nice start now. Now I feel really good about it. With 3 D-line commits, and you need to go out and get a couple more, I feel really good about where they're going to go and get that couple more. So I think when we look at this group as a whole, we're going to be happy that A&M did not get some of the guys early on. I'm not going to feel that way about Helt. I really like Helt from Purdue. We went to Clemson. I'm not going to change my mind on that. But guys like the guy from Nebraska that went to LSU, and Pyburn that went to LSU, and the guy from Florida State that I didn't think was great anyway that went to LSU. They're all excited. LSU, man, that portal thing better work because they're trying to make it like Brian Kelly's the portal king. I remember them just laughing at A&M after they got Jordan Gilbert and Denver Harris. So I don't think they're the best judges over there in Baton Rouge in terms of what's good and what's not out of the portal.
Billy, safe travels to Houston or wherever you're going to get here to Vegas. I'll see you tomorrow, man.
All right, we're going to talk game tomorrow. This USC thing's interesting. It's like, here's why I wanted to play a USC or a Michigan or somebody that lives in the same world A&M lives in. And, of course, I say the defending national champs, but I just meant another Power 4 program that recruits at a really high level, that sends guys to the NFL, that's going to lose high-level recruits to the portal because they're not playing yet. Lincoln Riley's dealing with the same issues as Mike Elko is. And I actually, if you look at the rosters, I think there's some real areas where A&M should match up really well in this one. So we'll see. And they seem pretty healthy. We'll talk about that tomorrow as well in terms of guys being back versus guys out and stuff.
All right, man. I appreciate your time, buddy. Safe travels. We'll talk to you maybe tonight, but we'll definitely see you tomorrow.
Okay, buddy. See you.
See you. Billy Liucci there on the Boss Firearms Hotline, executive editor and co-owner of TexAgs.com. All right, we'll hit a break. We'll come back. We might start the fan show segment early. I think they're already showing up, but if not, we'll start that at 10:35.
Yeah, we can do that.
Right
They're
now,
all
Bird
already
Dog,
here.
An Aggie-owned and operated company creating access to hunting opportunities. Think of it as an Airbnb for hunting opportunities for the hunters themselves and for the ranchers. If you are into hunting, or you thought if you maybe put to your mind, I think I want to try it. That's basically what happened to me this year. I was I had been interested in it. I just didn't know how to, set it all up. And I had Bird Dog do it for me. They're like, Nuño, we got you. We'll set it up for you. 5-star ranch. We had music. We had entertainment. It was just great. It was an entire experience. And for my first hunt, it was fantastic. And I think they can do it for you. And if you're a ranch owner, you want to get people on your land and make more money, there you go. Let Bird Dog be that middleman for you. It is birddogit.com, the website, birddogit.com. They make memories for hunting in the outdoors, something that you should experience. birddogit.com. Welcome back in TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio of my hotel in Las Vegas. Appreciate everybody listening in. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the Fan Show. Brought to you by Prize Picks. What's up, friends? How are you?
What's going on, buddy?
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Matt, you'll know, you've been on most shows. Is this the first time we've done a fan show with me on Zoom and you guys in studio? I'm trying to remember. I don't.
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say.
We've been on Zoom before, and you've been in studio, but we've never done it this way. So this is fun. This is cool. Hey, by the way, are you up, down? How are you winning, losing? Where are you at on the table so far?
Matt Browning, what do you think?
I don't think you've put a single dime on the table yet.
I have not. I arrived at 1:30 in the morning, I think, Texas time. And no. And, but today is all about gambling. That's all. I'm going to miss press conferences and work, and I'm going to miss the gym to just to gamble all day.
I think Nuño could probably find the gym faster than he could find a
blackjack
table.
He walked right past the blackjack and tried to find the gym the second he got there. I bet you he located the gym before he went to bed last night.
Believe it or not, I did not, because I was so freaking tired. Guys know I go to bed at 9 p.m. and it was 1:30 when I walked in. So, but this morning, OB is like, yeah, I need to find the gym. I was like, yeah, you do. We got to find it ASAP because at some point we're going to hit that. By the way, let me do the rest of the announcements. We've got Dr. Chad in the house.
Hey, what's up, friends? What's up? I've been wanting to go to the gym since January 1st, 2019. It's going to be my year, though. This is new year, new me.
I went to the gym one time back in 2006.
Nice.
It was
it's just God-given, though,
Yeah.
Blessed.
Roy May, good morning, buddy.
Hey, good morning. Merry Christmas, man. I hate that you had to travel for work, but good to see you, man. I hope you all had a great Christmas. I know we did. It's like Christmas hangover time now. Not literally, just like the holiday hangover.
Yeah. But you know what, man? Like, people were asking me, are you excited about going to Vegas? And I wasn't because it was Christmas Day. But now I am because I'm here and I'm seeing USC everywhere. I'm seeing, because we're staying at the USC hotel apparently, and I'm seeing some A&M, and football is back, guys. So usually I start off the show with what's on your mind. We'll do that in the next segment. But just if everybody can just give us some, maybe 30 seconds about just having football back. Roy, start us off.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of that we're dead into bowl season now, right? Because now you have bowls in between playoff rounds. Right. So, you can pretty much have as much football as you want. I know, we've got us tomorrow. I know Army's playing on Saturday. So it's just, if you want to watch college football, you can. Just straight up. It's not difficult. The bunch of networks have finally let go of their 24-hour marathon Christmas movie stuff. So it's, if you're in, this is the time of year, man. It's from here to the new year. It just feels like drinking from a fire hose.
For sure. Yeah, and it's odd to see. It's odd to see bowl games on TNT. Am I the only one that's like TNT? But I'm excited. I'm excited for some bowl games. I'm actually in a little pick'em league, and last week I went 9-1.
That's strong.
Maybe I should be in Vegas.
Season, in bowl season, that's strong.
Maybe I should be in Vegas. But I'm excited. My main thing I'm excited about is last year during this time we had so many opt-outs, and it was just like a ugh. And now this year, it's like, people are only sitting out mainly because they're going to the NFL draft or Senior Bowl, and for the most part, we have our team. So I'm excited. I want to get November out of my mind and just end on a win.
It's kind of tables are turned this year in the bowl game. We were talking about it before we came on air, just the way USC is right now with opt-outs and everything.
Yeah, I mean, we get to see a lot of the young players come in, and there's been some fun games. Did y'all watch that Fresno State game? That was a blast. So they're fun, even though you're watching a lot of these 6-6 teams play 7-5 teams in bowl games. They're just fun to have on in the background. Just neat to watch. And then now A&M football coming up, and like you said, who knows what we're going to get?
Right.
Especially with USC being kind of a dumpster fire. Mm-hmm. But we do get to see a lot of the young guys, especially on the D line. That'll be fun to see some how those guys play. And but yeah, just it's football. I love it.
And I will say, I'm with Nuño, and that's 100%. Like seeing the A&M helmet and the USC helmet on the same field, like I think that's going to be really cool. This isn't a matchup we get a lot, right? Yeah. And everybody knows USC. Come on, fight on. Everybody knows.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to do that. We'll get your thoughts on all things college sports related. We'll get into that on the next side. Right now, we're going to talk about the Association of Former Students. If you're looking for a reason to move back to Aggie land, and you probably need a job, unless you're independently wealthy, then you can move there anyway. But if you are looking for a gig they're looking to hire folks. You need to check out the website and learn all about the positions. But typically in the past, fundraising, marketing, sales, you name it, that's what the Association of Former Students does. They are the premier alumni association and the oldest organization serving A&M in support of that Aggie network. They play a part in every Aggie story from howdy to here, and they have marquee events held throughout the year. Aggie Ring Day, class reunions, Aggie muster, howdy socials, everything in between the Association of Former Students is a part of. And they exemplify those Aggie core values of excellence, integrity, leadership, loyalty, self-respect, and selfless service, all in support of that worldwide Aggie network. So if you're interested in joining a team or know somebody who might be a great fit, please visit tx.ag/association jobs to apply and get more information on each position. It is the Association of Former Students. Good God. Picked up the wrong headset. I picked up the OBs. It's TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio of our hotel in Las Vegas, the Virgin Hotel Records, or I think that's what it's called. But it's a nice hotel. If you are in Vegas, hopefully we run into you. Right now, your car wash tradition with the friendliest staff. A personal touch wants you to know they are Aggieland's first green car wash. That is Aggieland Express Car Wash. They got 2 great locations. You know about the original William D. Fitch and the newest one on South Texas Avenue, right across from the Planet Fitness. And they have the 7-day clean car guarantee. You can choose it all there. They have memberships. They have it all. But the newest location, by the way, guys, the newest location has the full service wash, and we're going to give one away. So if you want to try it out, what you need to do is call 979-693-1150. It is a $40 value. First caller will get themselves a $40 full service car wash from the newest location on South Texas Avenue. Again, it is Aggieland Express Car Wash, the South Texas Avenue location. Fan Show Time presented by Prize Picks. We've got our crew there in studio, and we're going to start off with Dr. Chad, talk about what's on his mind. Chad?
Hey, man. What's on my mind? A few things. One, I haven't been on in a while, so I want to give a shout out to the volleyball squad. We were talking about outside. Just incredible. I have a daughter, I know when she gets new sports, I know I'm going to coach it. And if I need to show that team what a team looks like, I'm just going to show them the clip. Just clips of that team. Absolutely. Just an absolute amazing season. And I was educated by Roy here. They're coming back. We're coming back. So looking forward to next year. Basketball, obviously very exciting. Looking forward to the first SEC matchup. And then Aggie football. I'm going to be honest with you, friends. I took a bit of a hiatus from football after that game last month. But you know, USC, there's nothing better than beating USC. I think both teams are coming off a pretty hard rival loss. You know, they really put it against Notre Dame against that game, but 2 90-yard plus pick sixes kind of sealed the deal for them. Us, offense seemed to be an issue. So for me, what's on my mind is I would love to see Ruben Owens, Amari Daniels, a little 1-2 punch. I think that would help Marcel. I would love for all the Aggies to see Coach Klein be creative. You mentioned the Fresno State game. Northern Illinois, what they did to win the game, they did back-to-back trick plays. Like, it's bowl season. So Coach Klein, just lay it out there, man. That's what I want to see. I just want to see us just forget hiding things or, you know, later in the season. Just that's what's on my mind. I want to see Coach Klein just say, you know what, Marcel, let's try all of these things. And last thing I have to say is I was watching the Clemson TU game. And it was 4th and goal, 4th and 1, and Dabo, and I felt like Matthew McConaughey from Interstellar, like, Morph, no, don't do it.
Don't run up the middle.
Don't run up the middle.
You not watch film?
I was like, did you watch the film? So I was like, come on, Dabo, don't do that. But that's what's on my mind.
Yeah, Riley, Lincoln Riley's brother. I mean, like, dude, watch some film. You can't run up the middle on them, okay?
Don't do it.
Right? We just, go around.
Dabo,
goodness gracious.
Roll out.
Go around. Go around. Just, my gosh. So, hey, what's on my mind is, I'm sorry.
Matt, wait a second, because I want to comment on something that Chad said there, and I want you guys to weigh in on it before we continue on. Yeah, about the offense. It's interesting, though, like, I think the eyeball test is really how you determine the A&M offense, because if you look at the scoring, they led the SEC in scoring, right? But it didn't feel that way. I think, and it's kind of like the college football playoffs, guys, right? Like your eyeballs can tell you if an offense is working or not, right? And I think at times, for obvious reasons, Le'Veon Moss goes down, passing game had its issues, different quarterbacks. The offense certainly didn't play like an offense that would lead the league or the conference in scoring.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the most shocking stats of the entire season. Like, at the end of the season, I mean, none of us have come out of the season going, oh, our offense set the world on fire. To find out we actually were the highest scoring offense in the entire conference is mind-boggling to me, because I never felt like we were like some sort of souped up, offense. I just felt like, they were serviceable at times, but then they had some really bad moments too. First quarter at Auburn, they were about as bad as you could be. Pretty much the entire Texas game was awful. And so, yeah, it's kind of wild that ended up being the case at the end of the year. It didn't feel like that all season.
Let me clarify this too, because if you look at the points per game, Ole Miss averaged 37.5 in all 12 games. We're talking about an SEC football games is where A&M was the leader. Overall, I think they were middle of the pack, 30.3 points per game for the season. Just a touchdown and a half behind Ole Miss that scored like 70 in the first week.
Ole Miss played high
I
school
say
teams.
that to you. In SEC play, they scored more than their opponents, but I think we all saw how it did not play out. So, Brownie, were you next on what's on your mind?
I was going to just jump Roy. This is probably rude, but, you know.
Browning said you're not in studio, so he can run the show.
What?
He said that. He said that off air.
Yeah, he did.
He said we don't even need to.
Multiple times.
Hey, have you seen the Sphere yet?
I have not. I have not seen it yet.
Do
I saw
yourself
the players walk by it.
Do yourself a favor, man. That thing is awesome. And if you got time, you can actually go in. They got like a 45-minute show, which is one of the coolest things you'll ever see in your life. Just FYI. But what's on my mind is
Browning.
Is that the same place as where the UFC does their fighting? Is the same thing or no?
I think they did a fight there. Yeah.
Now he's in.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's really cool. So. What's on my mind is we talk about football, but basketball coming up too. We've got what? We've got a game Saturday, one more kind of tune-up before we hit SEC play, and then next Saturday we start SEC play at here, Texas.
Yeah,
here against Texas, and so the team has looked just. I mean,
they're fun.
They're fun. It is so my excitement level is, yes, tomorrow night's game is going to be, I'm looking forward to it, but I mean, I've got my mind tuned and everything kind of tuned towards basketball at this point. And I think it's going to be a really good run. I mean, and the SEC is just going to be so fun to watch all year because they're all just so darn good.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Boy, what's on your mind, buddy?
Well, I think you understand one thing that's on my mind. It's Boxing Day, so there's like 8 matches going on today. So it's just so when there's nothing else to watch or it's early morning, us Premier League fans are drinking coffee and deep into matches.
Yeah, they get sometimes
do people who don't follow soccer know what Boxing Day is about?
Well, the origin of Boxing Day has a whole thing to do with basically the day after Christmas was the one day of the year that the masters would give their servants the day off, and they would bring them a box, and it would have like cured meats and treats and like little trinkets for the kids. So it's like the one time that the masters actually gave back to the servants, and the servants got the day off. It's called Boxing Day. And so what Boxing Day has turned into is in the Premier League, like almost, if not everybody, almost everybody plays on Boxing Day. It's almost like the Premier League's giving back to the fans, kind of thing.
Cool.
So it's a ton of fun. And because of the broadcast rights and everything, it's TBS, TNT, CBS, Peacock, so it's NBC. So it's really expanded, everything. And and the Americans that are Premier League fans, they just get used to waking up a little bit early on the weekends.
And your team is?
I'm West Ham.
And they're
West
playing
Ham United.
currently?
They're currently playing Southampton. They're at 1-0. Not that I checked it at the break or anything. But what else is on my mind? One, best gift I got for Christmas, I got an Aggie Dad shirt for my daughter.
Oh,
so,
there you go.
Yeah. Second best, I got an Italian pasta maker, so I'm going to start making my own pasta. But what's on my mind athletically is it's as much as I'm looking forward to basketball, and we've already talked about it, in the last couple of weeks, just the excitement that's building around that program. I would really like tomorrow night to put a bow on this season. And it's not the greatest gift that Aggie football has ever given us. It's not the worst gift they've ever given us. But I sure would like them to at least wrap it up nice and put a nice bow on the package at the end of the season for me. And so I'd like to go see them beat USC. I don't care that they were 9th in the big, what are they now, 10?
Big 10, yeah.
12 pack, whatever. That's right. They're now rivals with Rutgers. I forgot about that. But just, wrap it up nicely for us. Give us a little bit of gift tomorrow, a little late Christmas gift, early New Year's Eve gift, and go out on top, do some positive things on offense so people can kind of get off of Klein's back, and like you said, get to see some of the new players. So I'd like them to kind of just wrap it all up in the season, real nice for us, and give us at least kind of a 9-win parting gift.
Yeah.
All right, let's hit a break here. We'll come back with a very short final segment. It's a little condensed fan show because we had Billy at the top. Right now, Fratella Italian Cafe, they serve you the best dishes, homemade Italian dishes made with love, from fresh pasta to their golden fried breadsticks, and they have lasagna, famous cheesecake. They're partner of A&M Athletics. They have amazing food. They started by the same family that opened Pino's in Houston, and they're proud to carry on that tradition, serving up the best Italian food in town. Come hungry, leave happy. It's Fratella. Those breadsticks, by the way, real homemade bread dough sprinkled with some Parmesan and oregano. It's so delicious. The Parmesan chicken breast smothered in marinara and mozzarella sauce. It is fantastic. You've got to go check out Fratella when you are in town. Fratella is all about good food and great company. Go check them out. Come hungry, leave happy. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. The show coming to a close here from our hotel in Las Vegas. Here, we'll do another show tomorrow with Billy, OB, and we'll have some other guests on the program that we're still working out. Let's continue with the fan show presented by Prize Picks. Guys, I want you all to pick. By the way, Chad, I see you trying to direct the show right there, pointing at people, choosing who's going to speak. Guys, I want you all to pick one person and why you're picking them to keep your eyes on. We have 2 minutes left on the program. Chad, since you're the director, you start us off.
I just want to be the guest tomorrow on the show in Vegas. But who am I looking out for? Ruben, and I'm assuming he's playing, and he's had a few more weeks. So Ruben Owens, I just want to see the 1-2 punch between him and Daniels, because this season's been a season of right there, like Ace Ventura when the slinky scene, right there. Yeah. And I just want us to finish a game, just right there. So I'm so proud of this team, but I want to see Ruben Owens kind of give us a little bit teaser for next season and show what he can do.
You're a vault of cinematic references.
I had a lot of movie watching over the break.
For me, you have the obvious ones that are like Marcel. You obviously want to see him do good, but I mean, really, honestly, it's all about that D line, because that's going to be our biggest question mark going into next year. I think DJ Hicks is probably our currently right now the more of a disruptive, just line wrecker, and so I want to see the D line overall play well. But DJ Hicks is kind of the guy I'm going to be watching, because I think he might be our top guy next year.
See, I'm going to cheat. Because, like you said, we all want to see Marcel do good. What I'm looking at is Marcel Colin Klein. I want to see what Colin Klein has had time to develop and maybe put into the offense, kind of leaning into next year, maybe trying some different schemes that we haven't seen. And so, really, it's the dynamic of the play calling as it pertains directly to Marcel Reed. Like, that's what I'm really looking forward to. Plus, it's bowl game. I want to see some trick plays.
Yes, let's have fun.
Do you all agree with me, though? And look, I know whenever I go out on a limb like this, it usually burns me. But I feel like A&M's going to, I don't know if boat rate's the right word, but they're going to double-digit win this game. That's how, I mean.
Well, given the Peyton Thorne incident, I'm going to need you to stop saying things.
Good point. You guys are exactly right, though, because it's true. Like, I respected Auburn. I just didn't respect Peyton Thorne. And Peyton Thorne said, this is my game. I'm sorry you weren't familiar with it.
Yeah, I feel like he actually listened to your rant on there somehow. But no, I'm with you on that one, actually, David. There's USC so decimated, just so decimated. Their offense, I think we're in a lot better shape for this.
Aggies by 1,000.
Guys, we got to drop it there. Thank you so much. And thank you for all you watching. We'll see you tomorrow on TexAgs Live. Mañana.